What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today we're talking about this.
I know what senators were in this gift with him, and I know some of the details that were given, and it's like street addresses. This is who has it. This is where it is. This is where the labs are. Yeah, these are the names. I'm working on it myself. I'm down in the lab. First-handers.
Wow.
Maybe 12 so far, maybe more. But people are first-handers, not second. No, my cousin brought. I'm working on it.
You're looking at the actual retrievals.
I'm working on it with my own hands, yes.
Wow.
And I would think it's somewhere between 7 and 12. I didn't get an exact number on it. That's happening right now.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, y'all. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers, and that's my goal by the end of the year. So let's go, y'all. We're growing, we're flowing like the salmon of Capistrano, y'all.
Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano.
All right, so what's today's video about? Well, it's about something no one is talking about. A bombshell that James Fox just dropped in a brand new interview he did on a podcast called Camp Gagnon. I hope I'm saying that right. Camp Gagnon? I don't know. Either way. Phenomenal show, by the way. Okay. Done some great interviews. This guy's really cool. He's on Andrew Schultz's podcast called Flagrant. He's one of the co-host producers, I think. And he's got his own show. And so he interviews James Fox. And James Fox drops this bombshell, y'all. I'm just like, wait, what? What's going on here? So we got a lot to cover. Let's jump into it.
We got David Grush, that high-level intelligence official who testifies under oath in 2023. And I know people are frustrated because they're like, give me the details. You can't be making these extraordinary claims and not providing the evidence. Well, he was providing evidence behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Certainly the ICIG, Thomas Monheim was getting the details, street addresses, and where's the due diligence with the media? Okay, so you don't believe the guy? Prove him wrong.
Right.
Get out there and do some digging. Jack diddly squat. So little reporting on what could be. And you don't have to believe it. Prove him wrong. That's what you should do. Contact the former ICIG. Talk to him about the details. What is it going to take to get these various people that are making these extraordinary claims to come forward and give us the details needed to verify those claims? Because the implications are so profound. Why would we not do that?
Right.
Why would we not try to create a platform for these people to prove them wrong? Let's figure out what kind of executive order needs to come down to give these guys immunity so we can tell the public the truth. Why aren't they even trying to do that? To me, it's like a duh. Let's get. It's too important of a story not to.
What would proving them wrong look like?
What would what?
What, proving someone like David Grush wrong?
Well, you'd have to figure out how to create an environment to get those details. Because you're making these extraordinary claims, and yet you're not giving us enough details to prove or disprove what you're saying, right? And that's frustrating. I get it. And people are frustrated. But I remind people, we've had 4 open congressional hearings in the last couple of years. 4 open congressional. Prior to that, it was 1966. Progress is being made. People are making these allegations, not 1, not 2, not 3, multiple. And especially now with Age of Disclosure, Dan Ferris' film, that's got 34 high-level military and government officials, including Marco Rubio.
Right.
Talking about a crash retrieval program. Hello? Are people not paying attention, or is this just ontological shock? It can't be, therefore it isn't.
One thing before we continue, what he said about Rubio and Age of Disclosure, that really hasn't turned out that well, right? Considering what Rubio just said on Fox News about the Age of Disclosure. Here's Sean Hannity asking him about it.
So a couple points on it. First of all, I'm not disavowing that. It was an interview that was done almost maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was in the Senate. Right. So it wasn't recent. The second point I would make, I was describing the allegations that people have come forward with. I have people that came forward to us. Some of these people were Navy pilots, admirals, generals, whatever, that would come forward and say, that there were programs in the U.S. government that not even presidents were made aware of. So I was describing what people had said to me, not things that I have firsthand knowledge of in that regard. A little bit of selective editing, but it's okay because, you're trying to sell a show there.
And stay tuned for more from that clip at the end of the video. It's something that I want to cover, but let's move on. All right, so he's bringing this stuff up about Grush, which are great points that he's making, right? We'd love to see some evidence of this stuff, and it's kind of hard to know how to prove some of these claims, right? because Grush has always been someone who, let's be real, when he came out, right, in June of 2023, and then he testified in July of 2023, which is actually when I launched Vetted. Like, imagine my luck when I launched Vetted, David Grush comes out. And I didn't realize how important that was until as time went by, you know. And I remember making a bunch of videos actually sort of preparing for it, and I had to change a bunch of stuff because when he came out, it kind of just threw everything, you know, out the window in a lot of ways. And he kind of was just like the pinnacle, right? His investigation, his testimony was just the pinnacle of UFO lore going back decades, right? It was just everything put together in a nice little package, right? You have this guy come out and just say everything that everyone wanted to hear about UFOs. Crash retrievals, reverse engineer, we got bodies, right? It's a cover up. I've got 40 witnesses. Here it all is laid out. We've got addresses. We got everything for you, right? So have at it. Here you go. And then what happened? Like a deflated balloon, we just didn't go really anywhere, right? But maybe there's been a little bit of progress. According to James Fox, there's been some massive movements.
And so, but he's like, Grush is doing like closed hearings.
Oh, 100%. Yes. I talked to Burleson. I talked to Congressman Burleson the other day at the last congressional hearing that I attended. And I was like, did you finally get into a skiff with Grush? He goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, we did. He goes, I walked out of that with a different look on life.
Really?
Yeah. That's just happened. Yeah.
That is fascinating.
So it's happening. It's happening right now. And I remember talking to people that were in the skiff. I guess I could use his name because he's in the movie. Kirk McConnell, Senate Armed Services Committee, investigating UFOs in physical capacity, looking for the crash retrieval program, blah, 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 blah. And he sat in with senators. I know what senators were in the skiff with him, and I know some of the details that were given, and it's like street addresses. This is who has it. This is where it is. This is where the labs are. Yeah, these are the names. I'm working on it myself. I'm down in the lab. First-handers.
Wow.
Maybe 12 so far, maybe more. But people are first-handers, not no, my cousin I'm working on it.
You're looking at the actual retrievals.
I'm working on it with my own hands, yes.
Wow.
And I would think it's somewhere between 7 and 12. I didn't get an exact number on it. That's happening right now.
I mean, what's going on? What? Like, I'm sorry. We got, you know, firsthand people that touched the craft, worked on this stuff, right? Real firsthand whistleblowers who were in skiffs with Kirk McConnell talking about this stuff, talking to Senate. Like, what? That's happening right now? Why is no one else talking about this? Where is everybody? Forget age of disclosure. This is disclosure, right? What are we? This is crazy. If this is true, right, and there are these people, right, maybe there will be some movement coming 2026. I don't know. But remember, a lot of times these things get amped up and then it turns out to be kind of nothing. So I really hope we're there because there's nowhere else to go. We keep getting backed into a corner, right? There's no other rooms left in this house to check out. We're at the last room. We're at the last door. We're about to open it. If there's nothing there, so that's really it, right? If it doesn't happen with this, it's never going to happen, right? And they're telling Senate about all of this. How is that not moving Donald Trump, right? There's something's not adding up here, right? And don't forget, yesterday, in case you didn't see my video with Luis Elizondo, listen to what David Grush told Eric Burleson right around the same time that James Fox spoke to him.
So what Grush has told me, this is what blew my mind, and what he said that happened with Trump. And I'll just tell you this, and just again, I don't know that. I want to preface this by saying, this is not what I believe. This is what I've been told. Okay, he said that the Nordic people or the Nordic aliens are like a few hundred years more advanced than we are, but they're not super advanced. They're not like, he said the Greys, whatever is sending the Greys is extremely advanced, like thousands and thousands of years more advanced than us, because it's doing all the anti-gravity stuff, all of all the crazy, all this crazy stuff that's very highly advanced. And a lot of it is what he says with the Greys is psionic. So they basically don't have physical interfaces. They're using their mind, and that there's an interface that picks up thought, and then that and that's how they operate these vehicles, is out of psionic. But the Nordic people somewhat resemble humans, and they have been experimenting with crossbreeding with humans. And he says some of them, that there are aliens that are crossbreeds living in the world. And I asked him, I go, okay, do they know that they're a crossbreed? Or do they, like, how would you know that they are a crossbreed? And he didn't have an answer for that. Like, he didn't know if they knew what, but he said that the briefings he's had talked about them. And he said when Trump was briefed on this topic, because Trump finally had a briefing and he was in the middle of impeachment, like he was in the middle of being impeached. So he's going through that. And then he had like this existential briefing that just kind of rocked his worldview. He joked in the briefing whenever they said that there are these half-breeds. He joked that Adam Schiff must be one of them. And so,
Again, something's just not adding up. So Eric Burleson his worldview changed, but then right here, he's saying like, this is just what I've been told, right? So it's always interpretation. And James Fox is a very passionate guy, and I love his films, by the way. Okay, I absolutely do. Moment of Contact got started. I started vetted because of Moment of Contact. Just FYI. So I love James Fox and I love the films he puts out. But I also know he's a very passionate person. And he can sometimes read things very passionately when you might read it a little differently. So it's hard to tell what's going on there. Eric Burleson is really just repeating what he's told, which, to be honest, happens a lot in this community. But look, let's stay hopeful. Let's stay optimistic. Maybe there's something with this. Let me know what you think in the comments.
And something I forgot to put into the video. If y'all remember, I've been talking about Inside 764. It's this brand new podcast that the director of my upcoming documentary, Psionics, has also produced, along with Alamo Pictures, Soho Podcast, and Wired Studios. I've mentioned it before, but they got a brand new episode coming out, so please go check it out. I'm going to put a link down below in the description. Thank y'all so much for supporting that show. It's the most dangerous cult you've never heard of. Right, Rocket?
Now, let's move on to another part of this interview, because James Fox has a brand new film coming out.
It's always best to tell the truth, despite the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
They won't come back and bite you in the ass, and people will respect you for it.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that now. People are coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right now with the crash case in Virginia, we've got this neurosurgeon who's coming forward for the first time in 30 years.
That's right. He's got an updated version of Moment of Contact. So Moment of Contact was released a few years ago, and now he's got sort of an updated version because he's interviewed more people, right? And gotten some, quote, bombshell information that could change everything, according to James Fox. And look, the film comes out very, very soon, in December here. Check out this tweet from James Fox. Huge thanks to Joe Rogan for the shout out regarding our completely revamped cut of Moment of Contact, New Revelations of Alien Encounters, dropping December 22nd on Apple and Amazon.
Do you know about the Virginia, Brazil story? Do you know about the James Fox documentary?
Yeah, James. I'm excited to see James's follow-up.
Yeah, he's got a new one. Yeah. He's got a follow-up with, I think it's the actual doctor that worked with the patient. So
he was at the hospital that night and interacted with the being. Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
So the story is that this police officer, that they found this crash, and the documentary is excellent. If you haven't seen that, folks, it's called Moment of Contact. It's really good. And one of the things that's really good about it is the eyewitnesses. When the eyewitnesses returned to the scene of the crime, the scene of the crash, I was like, Either that guy is an amazing actor,
No, it's great. It's
or he's really crying because he's remembering this insane moment in his life.
great. Yeah.
And there was eyewitnesses that saw a live one of these things, and this police officer found one that was injured, carried it, put it in the car, physically carried it. They brought it to a hospital. That hospital told them, we don't know what to do with this. You got to take it somewhere else. They took it to a second hospital, and the second hospital, this is the doctor allegedly that examined it.
Yeah.
That police officer had a horrific bacterial infection that they could not cure, and he died within weeks.
Well, there we go, y'all. It's coming very soon. And in this interview on Camp Gagnon, hope I'm saying that right, James reveals a lot here, which he's kind of talked about, but not all of this.
In your follow-up to Virginia,
Yeah.
what are some of the smoking guns, you could say, that's in that doc that'll come out that you're most excited for people to see?
First time in history of the phenomenon that we have firsthand eyewitness testimony of direct communication with a captured alien in custody. And it just so happens it's the guy that's the neurosurgeon at the lead hospital where this thing was dropped off. So you have all this like other sightings, transport, all the stuff that's going on that all leads to the hospital. And now we have the lead, the guy that ran all three, the head of all three, neurosurgeon, head of all three hospitals.
And did he do an autopsy?
No. That was alive. The being was alive.
And he did an examination.
His partner did the examination. He just sat in the room with it for about 3 or 4 minutes, face to face, before the military burst in and took it.
Did he describe communication?
Yes.
Telepathic?
Yes.
Did he just disclose what was said?
A little bit, yeah. He talked about the fact that it despite it being that the eyes, all the communication happened with the eyes, that it was an extremely advanced intelligence, far more advanced from anything on Earth, and that it could read everything in his mind, not in a bad way, but that even though it was in captivity, it had full control of the room.
Typical gray.
No, it was, the people that encountered the creature on the outside, it had brown, oily skin. It was suffering in the heat, and big red eyes, little, I don't want to call them horns, like little lump protrudences on the head here, spindly arms, spindly legs, relatively feeble, bigger head, big eyes, slit for mouth. I don't know about the nose. No, I don't think any ears, or maybe holes for ears.
The smell?
Yes, I mean, the outside, I think the outside, but I didn't hear the smell when it was in captivity. I don't know if that was a reaction to the heat or being scared or some sort of mechanism. I really don't know. It's all speculation because, when it was outside and it was scared and it was really hot, like the girls that came within 10 feet of it, all three of these girls, Katya, Liliana, and Valkyria, all said that it was cowering, it was frightened, it was feeble, it was suffering, and it wanted help. Yeah. Yeah. And it was brown and it had that odor.
Wow.
But and then we heard it from a number of other doctors as well. But it's a long story, but there's like there was sightings, there was capture, there's military blockades, there's crash sites, there's it's a big story, and there are a lot of moving pieces and a lot of different people involved.
Wow.
It's a really good case. In fact, I think it's the best. In fact, most people within the community will say this is the definitive case. This is probably the case that's gonna prove that UAP, we're dealing with a non-human intelligence.
Now, how much pressure was on this neurosurgeon to not speak?
It's a good question. I think there are a number of factors that play into that. For starters, he's working on people's brains. He's representing the hospital. There's pressure from the military, I was told, on just about everybody to keep quiet about it.
Like he was spoken.
But it's not a career enhancement move. I don't know. I'd have to find out if it was just to the whole hospital staff or him directly. I don't know. But yeah, those issues are addressed.
So we have this doctor, right? This is probably the biggest revelation, that he witnessed another doctor for a few minutes working on a live alien, right? But he didn't work on the alien himself. It'd just be great to get that doctor. So this doctor comes forward and is saying he worked on this. He saw the other doctor working on this, right? But he's a neurosurgeon himself. And it telepathically communicated with him. And he was really in charge of the whole room, even while he's just being worked on. I mean, would you just let yourself be worked on like that? but you're still in charge. I don't know how much I believe that, because the rest of the story in Varginha is that this alien is scared. That's kind of the whole story. He runs around scared after his UFO crashes, right? So I don't know. Again, sometimes these things don't line up. I'm not saying that just bullshit or anything. I'm just saying, yeah, that's interesting, kind of red flag. But, you know, the case itself is quite fascinating, right? I do consider it a very compelling case because there are many moving pieces, as James Fox said, right? And he thinks this will bring disclosure, right? More than anything, above age of disclosure or above anything that they're doing, right, in the Senate with Kirk McConnell and those firsthand witnesses, right? This film and this case. Maybe, but without the real smoking gun, because allegedly there's this video from Varginha. That's how the first film ends, Moment of Contact. Like, there's this video out there of the alien, right? It doesn't sound like James got it. He tried to, but he didn't. And he offered money. And it's hard to tell if this neurosurgeon was also paid money for this interview. I kind of feel like he was. So I don't know. Does that hurt someone's credibility if you paid him? I don't know. I mean, if you could verify the information, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you can't verify the information, it does make it a little unusual. But at the same time, you don't want to waste your time and put your name out there if you're not being compensated in some way. I don't know. This is a lot, right? You know, is this guy really telling the truth?
It's always best to tell the truth, despite the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
They won't come back and bite you in the ass, and people will respect you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you remember, Rubio made those comments on Fox News. Well, I didn't want to selectively edit that. There's more to it, because this is what he really had to say about all the stuff that's mentioned in Age of Disclosure.
But the fundamental comments, I haven't seen it, but the clips I've seen and people have shown me are fundamentally true. And that is, there are things, we know this has been documented. There have been things that fly over the airspace, restricted airspace, be it where we're conducting military exercises or the like, and everyone in the government says they're not ours. And so what I worry most about, just me personally, is that some adversary, another country, for example, has developed some asymmetric capability for surveillance or the like that we just are not prepared for. You know, we're looking for missiles and fighter jets, and they're coming at us with drones and balloons. Yeah. Remember, you know, when NORAD turned on the radars and started looking for balloons, all of a sudden they spotted a bunch of balloons flying overhead, and 90% of them were innocent, you know, things. A couple of them were Chinese. And so, but we never look for balloons because our radars aren't trained for that. So that really was the point I was trying to drive at. I can't comment on the rest of the documentary. It has, as I said, claims from people that were former admirals, naval fighters, people with high clearances in government. Some of them are pretty spectacular claims. I'm not calling these people liars. I don't have independent knowledge that what they're saying is true. Mm-hmm. The one observation I had is we had people that did very important jobs in the U.S. government who are saying these things. So we have people with very high jobs in the U.S. government that are either A, liars, B, crazy, or C, telling the truth. And two of those three options are not good. But I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't have any point of, I don't want to call them liars. I just don't have any independent way to verify everything they said.
Again, he's sort of saying some of it's true in the sense that there are things flying around we don't know, but we think it's balloons and drones and just our adversaries with asymmetrical technologies, he puts it, right? Not aliens. And that's how they're spinning it, right? And just like my video yesterday with Luis Elizondo, which is blowing up, by the way, and go check that out if you haven't. It's almost like they know that it's not aliens, and they're using this to sort of, pump out another concern about national security and what's flying around in our skies, which should be a concern to us. But they're kind of using the UFO community to pressure for other things that are flying around, mainly drones and balloons and that sort of right? Not aliens. But again, I definitely think there's something to this phenomena. It's worldwide, right? And there are too many people that claim to have too many experiences that have nothing to do with the government, going back millennia. So I'm hopeful for citizen disclosure. And someone needs to remake a new film, The Age of Citizen Disclosure, because that's what I want to see. All right, betters. Links in the description. Let me know what you think. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, betters, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
Hi, I'm calling in from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I've been watching a lot of your videos. I really enjoy what you do. You're a great content creator. And I just wanted to say, or maybe even ask the question here, do you think that it's possible that these multi-dimensional beings, or whatever is causing this phenomenon, are demons? Because I'm an Orthodox Christian, and from my perspective of reading Seraphim Rose and Spirit and Bailey, is that these things are just here to confuse us, and there's no way there'd be that many anyway. And it just seems to tie so well with what we know of as demon interaction. So I hope you don't take this as being like overly religious. I guess I'm a pretty religious guy, but just thought maybe your viewers might want to hear that option out there, that, you know, maybe they're not extraterrestrials, maybe they're not multi-dimensional beings as such, but really just fallen angels. And this is the same thing that it's been since the very beginning, that they have been here longer than us. They fell. So anyway, keep doing what you're doing, and take care.